Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Minecraft. I am your humble host, See you later, and look at that beautiful sunset behind us back there. I am so happy you guys, so happy to be back with you. I have been on quite a long hiatus, but I have my heart never left our single player world here. Now, before we get a bunch of baddies on top of us, I just want to go in and sleep real quick. But while I'm doing that, I kind of want to talk to you guys about what we're doing. So I'm obviously back here now in the vanilla Minecraft. We had a lot of fun earlier in the year playing on a modded. We did the FTP Revelation for a few episodes. Had a lot of performance issues with that. And it was very difficult to record and make a high quality recording. So I've done a lot of work to get back to where we are now and where we started originally, which was here in our single player vanilla world. And what I wanted to kind of do this episode is just a little bit of an overview of what's going on. So if we take a look at our F3, we can look in the upper left hand corner and you can see we are in fact in 1.14. So I've gone ahead and updated. One of the reasons we didn't update right away to 1.14 was because of all those crummy issues that they were having with the 1.14 update. So I believe now that 1.14.4 is out, that most of those issues have been resolved, and I've been doing a little bit of testing. I did some flying around. Actually need some more rockets. Let me get some more rockets. I have been flying around and checking out things, and I have some great news, and that is I believe we have worked out all of our issues with the update so far, including I have put a ton of work into this. I have updated the majority of the textures for the new items from 1.14 for our texture pack, including a custom-made crossbow texture. I crafted all of these items in survival, including the campfire, and I've got a bunch of these scaffoldings, which are really cool. So let me set some of this stuff down. There's the scaffolding. So this is my texture for the Soartex. And what I tried to do was keep things in line with the feel of the Soartex texture pack. So I redid the texture for the campfire, and even I kind of learned a little bit about how to do the animations and things like that. Particle effects, something I still haven't tackled yet. You may notice that our torches have the vanilla particle effects also, but I think the particle effects is just about the last thing on my list besides villagers. So villagers are a very complex texture to update, and I have not even attempted that yet. Let's go over here real quick to where we had our 1.13 villager breeder set up, and luckily we do have a lot of villagers still over here. Now this is going to get kind of loud, so let me lower the game volume here just for a minute. We'll put it back in a second. But yeah, if you can see, we still have all of our villagers. These are all 1.13 villagers only. So none of these villagers are actual 1.14 villagers. Some of them I have traded with in the past. Let me jump in here. Sorry for the chaos. And you can see those are the ones that I traded with. They actually kept their professions. And lucky for us, one of the guys that did keep their profession was our mending villager over here. You can see he's a librarian. And I think we've unlocked all of the traits that he has. He has an Infinity and Unbreaking book. But he's got the mending, and it's for 16 emeralds. So that's exactly the same traits as he had before. And I believe as long as we don't mess with him too much, that he should keep that trade forever. So we at least still have our mending villager. And I didn't really do too much with villagers in 113, except for the iron farm. I basically wanted the villagers so that we could get an iron farm going. Now we're still going to need villagers for an iron farm, and I am going to update to the new design that those real smart guys came up with on a pretty simple design for an updated iron farm. I'm planning on actually reusing majority of this iron farm. I might take this top layer down and then build our iron farm right up above this, because you still need the kill chamber. But we don't need all this, we don't need the doors over here, and we don't need the villagers anymore either. These villagers that we have right in here. Now, they've never been traded with. A couple of nincompoops in there. So I might just try to collect these villagers and put them in cells, in the new cells up above. So we already have these villagers over here. That should be quite convenient when we're ready to update the iron farm. If I look here at the entity count, let's see, can I find where the entity count is? We seem to be looking at 25, I think. Is that right? Let me move over to this side. Entities 25, 27. I think what I had in here originally were 10. So if I go over here, it may be looking at doors or something else. I'm not sure. Well, it says 25, and I don't remember putting 25. I definitely did put at least 10 in each of these cells. And for the updated iron farm design, for a single cell, you only need 6. So I'm planning to use, since we have 20, I can do 3 tiers. So I'd like to do 3 tiers of the new 2-cell design, and that should be, we should be able to use these villagers for that. Hopefully we don't have too many of the nincompoops over there. If we do, then we'll have to bring a couple of our other villagers over. But we have plenty of them. So let's head back over and we'll take another look at the some of the new updated stuff. The crossbow, I used the bow from Soartex and then just added basically like a stick to it. But I did all of the versions, the animation for the loading and then the loaded version. And then I also did, let me put a firework rocket in my offhand. If we load that, you can see I also did a texture for the firework rocket being loaded into the crossbow, and that works great. Alright, so what else did we do? We did textures for all of the new workstations. So let me just grab this box and we'll take it out. And by the way, I knew, because we've been playing this map for a while, where there was a jungle in the north direction over there. I literally got only 1 stalk of bamboo, and it was about 10 or 12 blocks high, kind of like these ones are now. And I used that to plant this little bamboo grove over here. And with having done that, these are the new textures that I did for the bamboo. Mine's a little more green, and there's only 1 joint in between each one where they join. And then I did the small and large leaf textures for the bamboo, based on the other leaf textures that we already have in the game. And just in a very, very short amount of time, I have gathered an entire shulker box full of bamboo. So I think this bamboo stuff is going to be really good going forward for some automated fuel source for a few different projects that I have in mind. Now, let's take a look at the workstations. Now, again, I took a little bit of artistic license with these workstations. I'm just going to put my, not in there. I didn't want to put them in there. I just want to get these things off of my hotbar temporarily. And then let me grab a couple of things here. So barrels, smoker, blast furnace. These are kind of some items that I think we're going to be using a lot. Here's my barrel. And mine doesn't have the little hole on the top. I originally did put a little hole on the top, but then I found that I actually like it better like this. I think it kind of, you can even use it to make like a wall, and it would be a really cool storage wall. And like I said, I reused a lot of original Soartex Fanver textures in order to come up with these ideas. And basically, like I said, I just put my own spin uh, on the new items using the Soartex textures. So there's the smoker, and then here is the blast furnace. You can see I basically just used the furnace design and came up with these. And do we have some kind of fuel source? Yes, we do. We've got bamboo. So let me grab a couple of stacks of bamboo, and we'll take a look at the animations for these when we get them going. Let me grab some raw food, which I think I should have some. Yep, I got some chickens in here. And do I have any ores? Yep, I got a couple of iron ore. So these will do different items. Now, I haven't done a lot of research into 114. I've been too busy doing textures. So I'm actually, I'm not like 100% yet on how all the new mechanics work, but I believe these items will smelt items that whatever item goes in it, it'll smelt the item twice as fast as a regular furnace. So let's put a half a stack of chickens in there. Yeah, you can see that smoking really fast. There is the particle effect that comes out of the top of the smoker, and I just added this little texture there to indicate the opening for the top of that. And you can see I've got a fire effect going inside of there. This is my first attempt at trying to animate something like that, so it's a little bit kind of random. And then let's put a couple iron ore in here. Those are going to smelt really fast, but you can see we've got the animation there as well, and the particle effect. It's a vanilla particle still, so I'll work on that, and we'll try to get the Soartex particles worked out before too long. So let me go sleep real quick. Let's see. The next stuff we want to look at is the lanterns. And as you can see, I actually did do a new texture for the items as well as the actual physical 3D objects. Some of them had to have new textures made as well. So I did like the dyes, the new added dyes and stuff like that. I think I've taken care of all of the new items. But one of the items, and when I say items, I mean the item sprite that shows up in your inventory. These don't have item sprites. They actually are a 3D representation of the actual block. So once you've retextured the block, you actually don't have to make a new sprite. These did not have a 3D texture. They have a separate 2D texture for the item sprite. But here's the lantern retexture. Let me jump up here. I did the chain. I did a little bit of a retexture on the chain, and then the lantern itself. I kind of made them darker, and if I just hold still, you can see it has 3 different overlays for the brightness of the lamp, and it has the animated texture for the flicker as well. I had to play with that quite a bit to get it to not look kind of weird, because if you overdo it, it looks like it turns all the way off and then back on again, and then the brighter one hardly shows up. It almost looks like there's only 2 different animations, but there are 3. So I hung a couple of these. I got rid of those jack-o'-lanterns that I had out here, and I think these things are amazing. I think they are really cool. You can set them down on the ground. You can't place them on the sides of blocks. They have to be either placed on the ground. They cannot be placed on leaves. I already tried that. Or they have to be hanging from either an item, like I've got the iron bar here, or you can just hang them straight up from another block above, and that causes the chain to show up, which is really cool. I like them. It's a sorely needed thing in Minecraft to have more lighting options. I'm a big fan of Fan135, one of the hermits on the Hermitcraft server, and he made an entire video dedicated to how the lighting options in Minecraft suck, and basically begging and pleading for them to do something about it. So this is an awesome addition, having the a new option rather than just having torches everywhere. I'll probably go and replace these torches with lanterns. They'll probably look pretty good if you do that, because they look nice if you just set them on the fences, on the corners and things like that. Let's take a look at some of these other workstations. So we've got the grindstone, stone cutter, composter, and let's see, these ones I'll do separately. So here's the grindstone. I actually reused the smooth stone texture that I have over here and used that to make the grindstone texture. I like it. I think it turned out pretty good. I've got two versions of this one without this little pin in the middle and one with. And the more that I look at the one with the pin, the more I like it. It just adds just a little bit extra to the grindstone. And these are pretty cool. You can set them on the sides of blocks, and depending on how you face them, they will turn different ways. So you can use them to make wheels for cars and things like that. If you go underneath and face them up, it'll look like an axle coming down. Maybe even make like a bicycle or a motorcycle, something like that. So I crafted up a bunch of these different things so we could take a look at them. Here we have the stone cutter. Now, the blade for the stone cutter was that was probably one of the most challenging things to try to figure out how to make it look decent. I'm still not I'm still not happy with it. It does retain a little bit of the style of the animation from the other, but I didn't like how this one, you can kind of see how this is deeper here than this over here. So I might go in and clean that up. I think once those are even, it'll look pretty good. And then, you know, at a distance, you definitely do get the idea that this thing is spinning. So yeah, that's it. Now, one of the workstations that they made a workstation, and I don't have one, so let me make one real quick, is a cauldron. So that's a vanilla item. One of the other ones is the brew stand, which was made into a villager workstation as well. So here I have a cauldron, and you can see how the cauldron looks. It's got the little feet on the bottom, and it's got the banding across the top. So what I did was I actually used that to do the composter, and I borrowed some of the textures. So our composter actually shares some aesthetics with the cauldron. There are a lot of similarities between these items as far as the shape of them and things like that as well. And I really like how this turned out. I think it looks great. And then if I put a couple of them on top of each other, we can take a look at the underside. And I believe the way I did the underside was it looks very similar to the underside of the cauldron as far as the feet of the cauldron. So let me grab that. I'll put it up there beside it, and you can see how the feet on the cauldron, on the bottom texture, it has this bottom like this. So I did the same thing here with the composter. One of the cool things about that is I think you could use this as a ceiling design that would look really cool. You'd get these little cross-shaped patterns here in a floor, and I believe I made these ones to match up with the texture for spruce. So if you made spruce something and you made a ceiling out of these, I think it would look pretty cool. I'm looking forward to doing some stuff like that. So there we go. That's the composter, the stone cutter, and the grindstone. And we've got these ones. So now let's take a look at the villager dedicated workstations. Brand new workstations. Already did the smoker. Alright, so two that I was really disappointed about. One was the smithing table, and the other one was the fletching table. I was very disappointed about the fact that these are villager workstations only, and they don't right now have any functionality for us, but I believe functionality for these items is coming in the future. So for the smithing table, I wanted to have an aesthetic of like a smithing workbench. And I thought, you know, what would look really cool is if you have a smithy, you know, like a proper blacksmithing workshop, you know, you're going to probably have an anvil, right? And a lot of times in the real world, anvils are placed on top of logs. So I made this workstation to have like a log texture underneath because I thought that would look really cool if in a smithy we had the workstation underneath and then an anvil on top. That would look really cool in a like I said, in a proper smithy situation or blacksmith shop. I want to show you the underside of this block. Let me grab something to stack up here. Some scaffoldings. Really love these scaffoldings, the mechanics of them. So if I just stick the smithing table, you can see on the bottom of it, it is the log there. So it's basically just like a log that's had the had an iron plate fixed to the top of it, and that's using the actual texture from the anvil. So like I said, trying to keep some aesthetic similarities there. For the fletching table, I really wanted to do something completely different. I thought I liked the light color of the vanilla fletching table, so I went with a birch wood, and then on the top I started reusing this kind of theme that we have from our Soartex crafting bench. And on this one, the rim around here I borrowed from the texture of the enchanting table. It's kind of got a brass or a bronze, and I thought that went really well with the birch and that sort of lighter color for the wood. So I'm pretty happy with that. Cartography table. This one's kind of funny. When I place it down, I think this should be the front, but somehow the way I did my textures, the front of it is always facing, what direction is this? I believe this is south. So no matter which way I place it down, front ways, back ways, let's see, towards positive Z, south. Yep, that is south. So it seems like to me, if I place it down, so if I'm facing north and I place it down, yeah, the front, there's the front, quote unquote. There's the front of the cartography table. I wanted to make it like a little cabinet with bookshelves around the outside. And but like I said, there's no rotation. Now, I believe in your texture pack, you might be able to match the there's something called block states. You might be able to change the block state of this so that it places more like a furnace or a smoker or a blast furnace, so that when you place it down, depending on the direction that you place it down, this front side will always be facing towards you. That would give you a whole lot more control. But you see, I've got this continuing theme of a crafting top, just a different color. It looks just the same as this one over here, just a different color. And then for the loom, I really like how this one turned out. This one, I actually borrowed the textures from the Soartex record player, and I really like how it turned out. So it does have a front, it does have a proper front side. So like the other one, if I figure out how, I might be able to copy the block state from the loom and then put it on this one so that it places in a similar way. But this one, whichever way I face, it will put the front of it facing towards me. If I turn this way, see that? So it knows which side is the front side. This one is, it's like the game doesn't know which side is the front, or that it should just always be the same. The only other remedy for that would be is if I just replicated one of these bookshelf sides and put it here, so that way it always doesn't matter which way it's facing. But I put a lot of work into this to make it look like a cabinet. So I kind of want to see if I can do something with that. Let's see, so there's the cartography table in the loom, and then I believe one of the last things that I want to go over for now is the lectern. And I brought a book here, and the lectern is kind of an odd beast. It has a lot more textures required, and so what I did was I used some birch and then some other textures, and then the carpet texture from the Soartex, and I made this loom, and I really love how it turned out. I think it looks great. I cannot even tell you how happy I was the first time I saw it in game. And then the only thing that I really played with was the little stop here, you know, the little thing that keeps the book from sliding off. I moved it up and down a few times because I wanted to make it look nice, lined up. And check this out, the Soartex book texture from the, I believe this is reused from the texture for the enchanting table. So this is the open book texture from the enchanting table, and whoever put the work into making this for the Soartex pack for the enchanting table, it was worth it, because it looks great when it's open here. Look, you can see all the little words, you can see the stitching on the inside of the leather of the book. And then one of the other things that I really like about the new system is if I come in here, you can see I have 16 pages because I want to do some testing with this book for the purposes of redstone, because this can be used to control redstone now. But if we take a look at the book in here, before I do that, let's walk over here. Anybody who's been watching me knows that I have this to-do board over here. Well, I really don't like it. First of all, it's kind of ugly. It's a little bit of an eyesore. It's functional. I mean, it works. I know these are the things that I want to work on. But originally, I just wanted to do a journal, a to-do list journal, something I could keep with me, and it would be simple. And I would go in and write the things that I wanted to do. Let me grab this one. I would write the things that I wanted to do, and then go back and then add something like, okay, finished, or maybe find what the symbol is for a check mark and then put a little check mark by it. However, in previous versions, we weren't able to go back and do any editing, but now you can. Look, I can go back and put letters before. They've actually added the functionality that I think they already had in the what's the other version of Minecraft, not Java, but you know, the one they used for the Xbox and that, the Bedrock edition. They had this functionality where you have the proper, you know, editing. You can select text, you can cut it, you can copy it, you can paste it, and you can edit it. So you can write a whole book now, like a proper book in game. So I think what I'm planning to do for this book of done deals, I'm going to go back to my original idea now that we have the ability to edit the text. I'm going to go back to the original idea of having a journal as a to-do list, and then I'm probably just going to tear this thing down and we'll figure out something. I really want to start landscaping this area, maybe do something different with this pond here, because I made this road that leads over to the lighthouse, and I wanted to start building in this area. I've got a nice big flat area in this savanna, and I wanted to use it to make a new storage area. So let me just fly up here, and you can see, I'll see if I can land on the lighthouse here. Yep. And here, if we just look, you can see there's the road coming from our starter base over to the lighthouse. I kind of stopped it here because I didn't really know how it should go just yet. But what I want to do is make this road split off and go in a couple of different directions. And I think I'd like to make a village here. When I say village, I kind of mean literally, like, I want to make a village with villagers and villager workstations and things like that, and just make like a proper village here. And the buildings in the village will be used by both the villagers and myself. I'd like to make all the buildings functional. So this is a nice area to build in right next to where our starter base was. So I think it would just be a natural expansion to put some more farms here, maybe a melon farm. I always wanted to do one of those and didn't. Speaking of melon farms, there are some things that were kind of funny about melon farms in 1.13, where you couldn't put a block above the stem or something like that. I can't remember exactly. That's been fixed, and you can make some super compact, super efficient melon squishing farms that use observers and pistons to push down and pop off the pumpkins and the melons. So I'm going to be making one of those soon as well. That's coming up. And that's pretty much it. I don't want to keep going on and on and on in this episode about the new stuff, but that's it. I'm pretty happy for now with the textures that we have. I love the textures that are working for the the added bushy leaves. That turned out really well. One of the things I need to do is go back and change the shape of these so that leaves coming out from the bottom of the block will go up at a little bit of an angle more. This one comes out like from the bottom too much and overlaps with the other. So anytime you're close to leaves on top of leaves, see how they're flickering? That's, I believe they call that Z fighting or Z fighting. That's because there's two textures that are actually existing in the same one-dimensional plane, or 2D plane. It's actually one, it's a 2D image. There's no thickness to those textures. It's literally zero width this way. So these are lined up perfectly on top of each other. So the two textures are competing with each other. That's Z fighting. If you ever see that in games, that's what's going on when you have weird textures flickering like that. It's probably because the textures are on the same plane and they're competing with each other. So you wouldn't have that with something like this, because the texture for the vine is, even though it's also one-dimensional, you can see it sticks out from the wood. So it's not in the same plane as the face of this wood here. So it actually does have a little bit of 3D depth to it by sticking out. Anyway, long-winded Jim, long-winded see you later. Fires hurt you. Found out about that. I don't know how much actually, but it doesn't seem like too terrible much. I don't know if you can use these for killing mobs. That might be something to look into. Alright guys, I've talked enough. I hope that you're happy that I'm back, because I am definitely happy that I am back on this Minecraft world, and I'm looking forward to playing lots more Minecraft with you. I've got lots of projects coming up. I want to make one of those mini enders pretty soon, thanks to Nimbon and a lot of those guys over at SciCraft for coming up with some really cool ways to make super duper easy XP farms that don't take a lot of terrible effort for us on vanilla. Alright guys, thanks for coming in to hang out, and I'll see you again next time. I will see you later, and I am see you later, and I will see you later. Bye guys, see you later.